Coach, why don't you just get us started with an opening statement, and then we'll take a couple questions.
Kind of what I'd heard was a great experience, great place to play, great crowd, great pink locker room. Like I said, I was a little disappointed it wasn't as pink as I would have liked. So my old eyes look kind of white, so I was a little disappointed with that. But great place to play, great fans, great team. Play a team that makes you play the game the right way. When you don't play the game the right way against Iowa, you pay for it on both sides of the ball. We did Saturday. A lot of our small mistakes were magnified against a really good football team, both offensively and defensively. So everything we thought from a learning lesson, if you told me going in, best case scenario offensively, we far blew that out of the water, not even close. I mean, we had more yards and more first downs than we did against Michigan and Wisconsin combined the last 2 years by a pretty wide margin. And at no point in time did we not move the football on a defense that I watched 14 games a year ago and no one moved the ball on them. I mean, they 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs, no yards rushing, no tailbacks having success. Offensively, obviously, the huge positives are, our 3 tailbacks, Zoe, Kenny, and Maurice rushed the ball for 148 yards on 32 carries, almost 5 yards a carry for our tailbacks. I would have taken anything around 3 would have been. If we had been 3.2, I'd have been ecstatic against Iowa with our tailbacks on design runs and not legitimate, just every down runs, not third and long runs and gaining some yards just to gain some yards. Passing game very efficient for us, crazy efficient compared to where we've been. 19 for 29, 266, no picks and 2 touchdowns. So a really efficient day throwing the football with some chunk plays, obviously mixed in there, very high completion percentage from where we came from. So even passing, our guys up front played beyond my expectations. They played tremendous the whole game. Two big miscues. The 2 sack fumbles, we didn't touch the guys that hit us, which I felt better and felt worse on the way home when I watched it because I felt better that we physically really did a nice job against a really tough defensive front. But 2 self-inflicted wounds on both sack fumbles. We didn't block their defensive end, and so we obviously again small minor mistake. You don't. 70 snaps you do what you're supposed to, 1 snap you don't, and it costs us a sack fumble, and that's part of the game. And then, obviously, the plan, we should have blocked the mic. There was a little bit confusion. I'm not putting that on the kids, but we should have blocked the mic, and the mic whacks Mo, but Mo's got to hold on to the ball, too. It's not the only time you're going to be hit hard. So, obviously, set up 14 points for them. And then we missed a signal in the red zone on the sack fumble. We would have had a chance to get rid of the ball, and we didn't run the route we're supposed to run. After the long play to row. So three critical errors on offense, and it magnified, really costing us 21 points in a game that at one point it's 35-21, and it could have easily been 28-21 or 35-28 or really a dogfight. Defensively, I felt somewhat better after I watched the tape and somewhat worse. A lot of kids I felt better about. There's a lot of kids that physically competed and played really hard and held their own and lost matchups but won matchups consistently throughout the game. I was big and physical up front. We really got hurt with the physicality on the perimeter. Most of the damage was done until late. They ground us a little bit up inside, but most of the damage was done through the first 3 quarters on the perimeter and them physically handling us, particularly blocking and just pounding us and sealing us and kicking us out and covering us up, and we couldn't get off blocks, and they made it look very easy at time with their down and around game, and we had guys that could have been in position but were getting blocked pretty significantly and getting moved off the ball. So there's other guys that I didn't feel as good about from a competitiveness and didn't feel as good about just physically ready to play at that level. So we did have a number of guys that competed very good with Iowa, but we had some guys that either were overwhelmed because of their lack of confidence or lack of aggressiveness, or they're just physically not good enough to play at that level yet. And we either got to develop them or find other guys to do those jobs. So overall defensively was, I thought just okay. We have to be better, and I think we can be better. Special teams, overall best effort we've had. We had a couple key errors on kickoffs that open up some big seams. And King's a great returner, but the 2 returns he had against us, he didn't do anything but run straight up the field. Like I said if he'd have made 7 guys miss, I'd have tipped my hat to him, which he's capable of doing. But he didn't make anybody miss. He just caught the ball and ran straight up the field, and first guy got to him, tackled him, and it was a 40-yard return. So, but he's a good player and he's fast. But we have to do a better job. But we had a lot of guys playing physical. We were not getting overwhelmed on special teams like we have in the past when we've played our Big Ten opponents. We got blocked. You know, the return against Wisconsin a year ago, they blocked everybody on our team. I was, where we had guys getting off blocks and getting down there and having opportunities. So we still got to work on the kicking game. Punting was okay. Kickoffs were low. Line drives put us in tough situations. Made our extra points. They weren't always pretty, but made them, and had a decent attempt at a long field goal. Pretty good kick. Got there just a little bit to the right. So overall, there's a lot of positives and special teams. Big picture, just if you watch it, and you watched this in the past, if you look at the scores, 45-21, not great, but if you watch a game, it didn't look like the same team. Everything I've been saying, we have way more competent players. We have way more competitive kids. We're way stronger. We're way bigger. We won numerous physical matchups. We lost numerous physical matchups. But like I said, our first 2 ventures, like Wisconsin, we didn't win any physical matchups. Like we were manhandled, and you left the place feeling like if you played them again next weekend, it wouldn't be much different, And I feel the same way about Iowa. I think it wouldn't be a ton. I just think it would be a pretty competitive game. I think Iowa felt like it was a pretty competitive game. They were shocked. Obviously, they watched the same disaster we watched a year ago, so there was nothing they could expect that would be close to what they got Saturday, and I knew that. I watched our tape a year ago, too, and think they're not very competent, not very physical, don't play very physical inside or outside. So it was a really good first game for us, really good step forward, really good confidence booster, and a really good lessons to be learned on when you make mistakes. Good teams make you pay, and they made us pay dearly often with big plays. So.
Yeah, Coach. So looking over the game, it seemed like Billy, he was really impressive out there. So is he on track to developing into the quarterback that he wants to be, and what does he need to do to keep doing so?
Biggest thing, obviously, he made huge strides, from UMass to now, and we've been telling everybody that, but it was nice against a tough defense. I didn't know we'd see it this game. I thought we'd see it this year, but he really played a tremendous football game. Very smart, locked in the whole time. Very, very good decisions. He made a lot of great decisions that didn't even result in big plays, that kept our offense moving in the right direction. Was very competitive, played physical, ran with a purpose, handled some bad snap late on 4th down. He didn't a year ago to pay, just got the ball, ran towards the line, got the first down. And he looked very calm about it. And so just knowledge is power, and he has more knowledge to go out there and compete and play. So the thing he has to do to keep progressing is keep the mindset that he has. He's been fighting for a job since December. And then we had a couple injuries, so the last couple weeks he wasn't fighting for a job. But for the most of the last 9 months, he's been fighting for a job, and he's been showing up to work every day like he's fighting for his life. And he saw the results of a lot of hard work in the weight room, running, in the film room, in practice, grinding through mistakes and trying not to repeat them. And that's why I told him after the game, I said, if you keep the same approach, you're going to keep getting better, and then you're going to become a really, really good player for us and really help this team have a chance to win a lot of games. If you think, okay, you've arrived, you're going to go right back to, some of the things that have happened in the past. So one good game doesn't make a career, but he has the professional. He has the know-how how to approach things. And his approach, like I said, somebody asked me before, have you been yelling at Billy a lot? 'Cause everybody knows I yell at the quarterbacks. And like I said, I probably haven't yelled at him in 3 weeks. I said he hasn't cheated this football team in 3 weeks. Has he made mistakes? Yeah, but he is grinding as hard as anybody on our team to help this team be successful. I said, I have no issues. We're going to coach some mistakes, and there's still going to be more lessons. And Iowa played one style of defense, and he had a great game against that style. Eastern Michigan, although probably personnel not the same as Iowa, they offer a whole different thing as far as defense. So it's a completely different style of defense. So you've kind of played good against one style. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to carry over, because it's a lot more helter-skelter this week. And Iowa was very disciplined and very smart, and we kind of knew where Iowa people were going to be because they're disciplined and they're smart. And so his reads were clean because they don't do a lot and they do it very well. So you could kind of count and trust that the Mike backer was going to be where the Mike backer should be. And that was helpful to Billy, that it looked a lot like practice. Eastern just does a lot more stuff. So there's way more variables and way more blitzing and way more coverages and all sorts of different things that they do will create a lot of difference. So he's still in the growth and learning mode. He's in his first game of his second season, but obviously it was a giant step forward. He just played a really good football game. Not for him, not for, I told him this isn't about improvement. He just played good, flat out played good. If he was a fifth-year senior, he played that way at Iowa, I'd have been very proud of him.
Could you mention Mo Thomas a little bit in your opening statement, just about the running game itself? I mean, what has he done to improve in the past year?
Well, obviously, just like all our young guys, like he just knows so much more about our offense. Last year we could just put him in piecemeal because if we ever had a check, he didn't really understand what our checks were, and he couldn't figure out the protections, and there was just a lot of variables for a young kid. So we just kind of pieced him in, and now we feel like we can put him in all different situations, first, second, third down. We're not worried about if we have to make adjustments. If the quarterback makes some checks, Mo knows, and so just mentally the biggest deal is just him understanding what we're trying to do, and then starting to really understand what defenses are trying to do. So he's just scratching the surface. He did some obviously very nice things, and he's super fast, and he makes plays. But there was a couple plays, obviously the fumble and even the kickoff return should be probably out the gate. He didn't have a great kickoff return, even though he had a lot of good yards on that. We really blocked it crazy good. We blocked everybody on Iowa's team except one guy, and we missed one backside block. That's the guy that made the play, but the ball should never got close. If we'd have set up Josh's block, he'd been up on the kicker right now, so he still has areas to improve, but obviously 9 carries for 60 yards and does some things on special teams, and so he had a very good first game also. So just got to hold on the ball, and he knows it. If you're a skill guy and you don't hold on the ball, you end up not playing. It doesn't matter how talented you are, so he knows he has to hold on to that dang football.
You talk all the time about guys competing, and obviously you saw a lot of guys compete. I want to tell us about James Gardner, because obviously he had a huge day, but it seemed like every catch he made was contested, and he really, I thought, played a fine football game.
Yeah. Critical mistake on the sack fumble in the red zone. He didn't see the signal, which is bad, but compounded, you got Jared Murphy standing 3 yards from you, and you don't ask him what. And we only have three routes we have in down there. We've run them all week. We only got 3 plays we're going to run in the passing game. So instead of asking Murph, hey, what was the call? And Murph tells him, and we just run the route and have a chance for a play, he just stood there basically. He didn't do anything and bogged. And then Billy held on to it too long. We cut a guy loose. We sack fumble. Other than that, he bounced back. That was early bounce back. And he's what we like big receivers. It was evident from the day we got here. All of a sudden, we had all 5'9", 6. Rakeem Williams was like a giant when we got here. Now he's one of our small guys, We like big guys that can catch the ball. So a guy like James made 3 contested catches. He made another nice catch. He was wide open on the flag route, but he had him lunge in his catch radius because he's 6'4" and he's got long arms and he can jump. His catch radius is pretty good. So that was a good throw by Billy, not great, but because he's 6'4", he could track it and haul it in. If we make the same throw to Murph, it's probably overthrown, and that's a difference by recruiting size and not recruiting size. But he's going to have to make contested catches. He plays wide out. I can run as fast as him, I think. So he's not a very fast player. He's a big physical guy with great hands and great instincts and great ball skills. And Billy did a tremendous job of putting balls in places where James can go make plays. And James outfought their DBs on a number of occasions for balls. And that's his game. So if he doesn't make contested plays, he's not, he's more of a tight end type player. He's not going to get wide open. We got him open on the one we bunched, and they kind of cut him loose on the flag route. But he's not. If they play man, he's going to be he's going to be open because he's big and because he can catch it, and because our quarterback understands ball placement, and our ball placement Saturday was fantastic on a number of throws.
Coach, can you just talk a little bit about Eastern Illinois? I mean, you mentioned their defense a little bit. They run a lot of different schemes, but offensively, defense, just kind of give us a little insight.
Yeah, not near size-wise of what we just saw, which you'd expect. They're a Big Ten team, but fast and aggressive. Undersized guys at some positions, but they're super quick, and they allow them to be quick. They're not trying to sit there and line up and go brute strength on brute strength with Iowa because of how physical they are. They do some things movement-wise, but mostly they just charge ahead and try to knock the heck out of you because they have the size to do that. So Eastern are stands, and they do different things up front, and they do different secondary, and they move guys, and they multiple coverages. And when you watch their tape, the thing that pressure defense is just how much they fly around, how aggressive they play, whether it's run or pass, how they attack all the time, and they cause people a lot of issues. They gave some points last weekend, but really, if you watch the Western Illinois game, Eastern defense is turnovers. Like they got put on some short fields, and I was watching. I kept waiting for Western to explode and get all these points, and it was kids. They kept scoring on these 20-yard drives. So they actually played a pretty solid game. Offensively, they're more spread. Obviously, Iowa was more pro style and more same deal. Iowa's going to come right at you, and at times they're not trying to trick you. They're trying to run over you, and they did a nice job of that at times. Where Eastern's going to be way more spread out and way more multiple and more formations and more personnel groups and more movement. So just a completely different look for our offense and defense than what we tried to defend a week ago with Iowa's offense or what we tried to attack with Iowa's defense. So even the kids that had successes on both sides of the ball, I said, hey, that was this style of game and that was against this team. Now it's a completely different style, and our receivers, like last week, had a chance to run some guys off because if Iowa was in man, their kids' heads, weren't ever looking around. Eastern guys play more off man. They're looking inside. They see run or they see bubble screens and they go knife them. So just completely, even though it's the same coverage sometimes, just how they play it with where their eyes are, if we try to run them off, they're going to knife and hit the bubble for a 4-yard loss, or they're going to knife and hit the run for a 4-yard loss. So just different style of play. So our kids will have a nice week, too, to get used to playing a different style team.
Yeah. How's the secondary looking?
Some good, some average, some not so good. So tough game because physically they got you down in some condensed formations. So some guys that typically don't have to do a lot of run support, we're putting some run support position, corners and safeties, because they get condensed and they're running their outside down and around play and getting some bigger receivers and even some tight ends and even sometimes pulling guards and centers and getting them on DBs, which wasn't fun at times for our guys. And even when they threw the bubbles, their receiver did a great job on our corner. Our safety didn't do a good enough job being in position to play it, but he needs help from our corner too to leverage it. So not exonerating our safety. He was too soft and not aggressive enough, but our corners got to get the ball back to him, but our corners get manhandled, so it's just a physical. So that game was different. They used their physicality against us, and our kids, like I said, we have to either get more physical players out there, or we got to get a different mindset with the kids we do have outside and get a more aggressive mindset to be able to set the edge of our defense better than we set it on Saturday. So I thought Tony Reed flew around, was all over the field. I thought Heath Hardney got beat early on a deep ball. The guy pushed off a little bit, but he still got beat. Got beat on a touchdown, but it was great coverage, good throw and catch. He was all over the kid from start to finish. He was very competitive. It's good to see him back out there. And then I think we played a multitude of other guys, and I think at various times they all lacked a little confidence and all lacked aggressiveness. I'd like to see them when they play confident, aggressive. I said, some of you I can't evaluate because you didn't play. I'd like to see you really get out there and challenge Iowa. And, okay, you physically got beat. Okay, now we know what we have. We just sat back at times and let Iowa take it to us.
Coach, I just have total softball here for you, but I don't know if you even know, Mike was trying to set a new student attendance record this weekend. I mean, what would it mean to you to have 8,000 students in the stands? I mean, what kind of advantage could that be?
No, it would be huge, and I'm excited if we could do it. It would be fantastic. I think we're starting to put together a football team that people are going to want to come out. Students are going to want to come out. People are going to want to come out. Alums are going to want to travel in for home games. We're starting to put together a team that people can be proud of. We still are very much a work in progress and have a lot of improvement to go in a lot of areas, but I've felt this way since January and through spring and through fall, that we're just way better in so many different areas, So I encourage everyone to come out, particularly the students, and typically your students are a little more loud and vocal than maybe some of the adults that have been coming to Miami games for years and years. Students are a little more rambunctious, which we need that energy in the stadium, and obviously you could feel it at Iowa, every play they made and the noise and the excitement, it fuels your kids to play even harder and want it even more for the university. So it'd be huge if we could, but we appreciate everybody that's thinking about coming out. And my thing is we got to keep doing our job. You know, everybody talks about our attendance. I know years where Miami, this place was packed, and I know there's Miami fans not only on this campus but everywhere else out there. They're waiting for us to put on something that they can be darn proud of. So I think we're getting closer. I'm not sure we're there yet, but I think in the very near future we're going to have a very good crowds at Yager Stadium. It's going to be fun to come in. You're going to be proud to talk about, hey, we got this team coming up Saturday, and I can't wait. This is going to be a big game for us.
Everybody set? Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.